right, well, we have our interview in. On the phone is Rob Carpenter, former Jets wide receiver. Rob, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. So, first up, we were just mentioning, obviously, this week the Jets traded away two of their big guys on defense, Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams. What to you, does this signal about the direction of the Jets, both this season and generally going forward?
Total change.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think that's the big thing. And with Aaron and Mooj taking over, I think they mentioned that, from the very beginning, that there was going to need to be a total change in the building, in personnel, and pretty much everything to get the culture change that was needed.
Hey Rob, Luis Andrade.
How you
After
doing?
this great win against the Bengals to get their first win of the season, how does that kind of affect the locker room and the morale? Saying like, we're not competitive this season, but at least we got our first win.
Um, I think over the past 2 weeks it's been twofold. One is, to get the monkey off the back about not having a win and get Aaron Glenn his first win. I'm pretty sure we've all seen the locker room scene after the game. Um, but the other thing is, the following week, two of the mainstays of the team get traded. So, it's um, a little damper on things, just a little, because everybody knows it's part of the business, and things like that happen. But overall, I think most of the guys that are there, that are in the locker room, we're happy to get that win, and especially with it coming on the heels of one of the mainstays on the team, Nick Mangold passing away, and also going into a bye week. So you kind of get a little feeling a little better. They get the win for Nick, but going into the bye week, you can kind of ease up just a little. There's not so much tension in the room. You could just relax just a little bit, and whether it was at practice, whether it was in a weight room, whatever, you could see the guys kind of just loosen up a little bit.
Rob, I just want to echo what they said as well. Thank you for joining us. But you kind of mentioned Nick Mangold and kind of the legacy he left behind in New York. I know for me, someone who isn't necessarily a huge NFL and Jets fan, but I have a very clear image of how great of the guy he was. The memory that sticks out for me is at New York Rangers playoff games, how loud of an ovation he would get. And I remember my dad, who's a big Giants fan, getting up on his feet for him, and I looked at him like, we're Giants fans. Like, why are you cheering for a Jets player? But can you just kind of speak to just the impact he had on the Jets team, the league and the city as a whole?
You kind of just mentioned it. So if you're talking about Giants fans giving Nick a standing ovation, that's just the respect that he has, around the football world. It's not just, in the Jets locker room. The type of person that he was, the type of player that he was. I think everybody that stepped on the field with him as a teammate will tell you that he's one of the best teammates you could have, because he's a leader from the very beginning. You hear the offensive lineman that played him say that he is the leader of the offensive line. He always tried to put guys in the right place. And he was just a tough, competitive guy. When you have a person like that clearly wanted to be with one team his whole career, because he really never wanted to go anywhere else. That just sends ripples through the locker room to guys who actually never even met him. They just hear about things from him. So, Nick got a lot of respect from everyone in not just the football world, but from the sports world in general. So that just speaks a lot about the type of person that he is.
All right.
Was, I should say.
Rob, you played alongside Aaron Glenn during your career. What have you thought so far of the way he's handled, obviously, a difficult season for the Jets? How have you seen his coaching so far and the way he's handled their struggles this season?
He's the same person. Honestly, when he came to the league as a rookie, he was that type of person. He was, headstrong. He wanted to be the best player that he could be at that position. Wanted to be one of the best players on the team. He wanted to be part of an organization that, from where we were at the time, weren't a very good organization. And he got to be a part of the team that actually got rebuilt. And he wants to do the same thing in coaching right now. He knows what it is like to be here, dealing with fans, dealing with media, dealing with ownership, because he was part of it. So on the coaching end of it, I know his philosophy is that he really wanted to change the culture of everything about the Jets organization. He knew knew that it wasn't going to happen overnight, but I think he's on the right path. The wins will help, of course, but I think he's on the right path along with Darren Moji, the GM, with their philosophy of the type of players that they want in the building, the things he wants to get done on the field, and the type of team that he actually wants. So it's a little process. It's going to take a little time, and hopefully, within these last few weeks of the season and starting in off season, you start to see things change, because he refers back to a lot when he was in Detroit and how things changed for them when it didn't start that well, and just the philosophy of what it was, how they wanted to make things changes, and his mentorship with Bill Parcells and the things that he got done and the way he taught him how to be a coach. He needed to learn from the bottom up. So Aaron's vision is there. Just hopefully it comes to fruition.
Hey, Rob, Luis Andrade again.
Mm-hmm.
A question. Where do the Jets go from here, especially in the offseason? Are they going to be trading any more players like Garrett Wilson? I know Breece Hall, they were trying to market him. He didn't sell, or they didn't get what they wanted in return. So do the Jets really have some sort of plan going forward?
I think what you saw was the plan. There was never a plan to get rid of Garrett. That was they made that clear. I think the only way they would have traded Breece is if they really got an offer that they couldn't refuse, kind of like Sauce. I don't think Sauce was on the market, but when, as Mooj said and as AG says and every other GM will say, if the phone rings, you just listen. And they got an offer for Sauce they couldn't refuse. Quinnen was a little unhappy, but he wasn't making a big deal about it. He let them know. They talked, and they just tried to, grant his wish of being traded. He didn't want to start over again. I could understand it. He was one of the longest tenured players here for the time, and basically he's just been on losing teams, so he just didn't really want to. He said it from the very beginning of the season. He really want to be part of a whole other rebuild again. So from here on, what you'll see is they'll have their things to do with those draft picks, and I'm pretty sure they're going to use all those draft picks. I don't think they're going to try and fleece another team with trying to get a veteran quarterback or even bring in another veteran quarterback. I think what they're going to try and do is build a team through the draft. They'll add pieces through free agency because after these trades, they freed up a lot of money. And I think that's just what their philosophy is just trying to build the team through the draft and do it the right way. And hopefully the majority of the picks that they make are winners.
Alrighty, former Jets wide receiver Rob Carpenter here, alongside myself, Grace McCarron, Luis Andrade, and Lydia Pirner. Thank you for joining us, Rob.
Absolutely, no problem.